What if chasing her was never the test, but walking away in silence was? What if everything you thought would make her stay, your vulnerability, your consistency, your loyalty, only made her feel entitled to your effort? The brutal truth? She never feared losing you, because you never showed her what that looked like. She expected the texts, the calls, the apologies for things that weren't your fault. The late night, "Are you okay?" messages. She thought your love was her safety net, indestructible, predictable, always there. But then something snapped inside you. Not with rage, not with drama, just a quiet shift. The kind of shift that only happens when a man sees clearly for the first time. And you disappeared. No goodbye, no closure, just presence, withdrawn. She didn't expect that. She expected another round of the same cycle. She expected tears. Instead, she got distance. She expected desperation. Instead, she got silence. And that's when the power flipped, because now your absence echoes louder than your presence ever did. This isn't revenge, this is rebirth. This is what happens when a man stops trying to be understood and decides to understand himself. When he stops chasing what's fading and starts building what's eternal, his mindset, his purpose, his emotional discipline. This is the Stoic way. The game changed the moment you stopped playing it. If you're tired of being predictable, if you're ready to stop showing up for someone who stopped valuing your presence, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My silence is my strength. Number 1. Silence is power. She thought your silence was weakness. She thought your distance was hesitation. But in reality, it was strategy, precision. You weren't retreating, you were reclaiming. Because the moment you stopped reacting, you stopped bleeding for someone who kept handing you the knife. Most men panic when a woman pulls away. They flood her phone, they beg, they write paragraphs trying to explain themselves, they chase closure. But not you, not anymore. You didn't say a word, and that silence, it screamed everything. Here's what she didn't count on: that your silence wasn't an emotional breakdown, it was a conscious power move. When you go quiet, you take her mirror away, the one she used to reflect her own ego back at herself through your attention. Without your reactions, she's left with herself. No audience, no validation, just the hollow space where your energy used to be. And that space, that's where regret begins to grow. Stoicism teaches that we control nothing but ourselves. That includes our responses, our attention, our presence. Silence isn't passive. It's surgical. It cuts through the noise and eliminates every opportunity for manipulation. She can't guilt-trip silence. She can't twist silence into a weapon. She can't control what she can't provoke. And here's the dark truth. People don't start valuing your words until you take them away. The longer you stay silent, the louder your absence becomes. It starts to haunt her. Why isn't he chasing me? Is he over me? Has he moved on? Those questions create the very anxiety she once made you feel, but you're not doing it to hurt her. You're doing it because you finally understand. You never needed to prove your worth to someone who was blind to it. This is the rebirth, the death of the pleaser, the rise of the Stoic. A man who doesn't speak unless it's necessary and who doesn't argue with chaos. You're no longer playing her game. You're playing a much higher one: internal mastery, control of self. And that starts with silence, the most deafening sound she's ever heard. Number 2, emotional control is the ultimate flex. She wanted to see you break, to see you unravel, lash out, beg, or explode. That would have confirmed her power, that she still lived in your head, rent-free. But instead, she saw something far more unsettling: calm. You didn't curse her name. You didn't spiral. You didn't even flinch. And that, more than anything, shook her. Most men give their emotions away like loose change: anger, jealousy, obsession, handed out freely to anyone who presses the right buttons. But emotional control? That's rare. That's stoic. That's elite. She thought she could trigger you into chasing, into arguing, into confessing that you still needed her. Instead, you stayed composed, unbothered. That stillness, that's what made her panic. Emotional control doesn't mean you're numb. It means you're disciplined. It means you've stepped back from the chaos and realized she's not worth losing your center over. You're not here to prove anything, not your worth, not your love, not your pain. You're not here to win an argument. You're here to win yourself back. And you can't do that if your emotions are constantly being hijacked by someone who no longer respects your peace. You didn't give her the satisfaction of a reaction. No angry posts, no passive-aggressive messages, no desperate closure talks, just silence and composure. That's terrifying to someone who fed off your emotional availability. That's not weakness. That's war strategy. That's dark psychology. When a man can look heartbreak in the eye and remain emotionally centered, he becomes untouchable. This is what Stoicism demands, that you become the eye of the storm. Let the world rage, let her spiral, but you stay rooted. Calm isn't boring, it's power. And now she realizes you're not the same man she thought she could manipulate. You've evolved, you've leveled up, and you did it without raising your voice. Number 3. The illusion of value crumbles when you walk. She thought she was the prize, and for a while you believed it too. You pedestalized her, you ignored red flags, you tolerated mixed signals, silence, disrespect, all because somewhere deep down you thought she's worth it. That illusion kept you chasing, kept you doubting yourself, kept you locked in a loop of proving your value to someone who only offered you confusion in return. But here's what she didn't see coming. That illusion only works if you stay. The moment you walked away, it started to collapse. Because it wasn't her that gave her value in your life. It was you, your attention, your energy, your loyalty. That's what made her feel important. Without that, she's just another person, waiting on validation that no longer arrives. You see, when a man reclaims his presence, everything changes. Suddenly, the things you once overlooked become obvious. The manipulation, the emotional games, the way she used your feelings as leverage. But you don't call her out, you don't expose her, you just walk with quiet certainty. And with every step you take away from her, her grip on your mind loosens. The illusion shatters because now she has to confront a painful truth. She was only the prize when you believed she was. She didn't change. You did. And that shift in mindset is everything. You've seen behind the curtain now. You've recognized your role in your own suffering, and you've ended it. In her mind, you're supposed to return. Most do. They come back hoping for validation, for a second chance, for closure. But you've upgraded. You've removed her from the throne you built for her in your head. That's what breaks her. Not insults, not revenge, just quiet, undeniable indifference. Because now she's no longer special, and you're no longer blind. Number 4. Attention is currency. Stop spending it on the wrong people. Every second you gave her, every message, every late-night reply, every time you showed up without her asking, you were spending. Attention isn't free. It's the most valuable currency you own, and you were giving it away like it had no cost. She didn't have to earn it. She didn't even have to appreciate it. All she had to do was exist, and you paid in full. But now you see it clearly. Your attention isn't love, it's power, and people know how to exploit power when it comes easy. She didn't want a relationship. She wanted validation. She didn't want your heart. She wanted to know she still had access to it. That's what the likes, the breadcrumb texts, the just checking in games were all about. She didn't want you. She just didn't want to lose control of you. And here's the twist. She didn't even have to try. You gave her your energy while she gave you confusion. You made her a priority while she made you an option. That imbalance? That's where you bled. But the bleeding stops when you recognize the value of what you're giving, that your attention is sacred, selective. It should go to people who earn it, who match it, who respect it. When you pulled back, when you stopped feeding the dynamic, she noticed. Because attention is addictive, especially to someone who thrives on being desired. Your withdrawal wasn't petty, it was surgical. A man who controls where his energy flows controls his entire life. And now, instead of begging for scraps, you're investing in yourself, your goals, your peace, your future. She didn't lose the relationship. She lost access to the most powerful version of you, the one who gives without needing anything in return, but who walks away the moment he's no longer respected. That's what made you dangerous. Not your presence, but your absence. Number 5. Pain is the signal. Growth is the response. The heartbreak hit hard. It always does. You felt it in your chest, in your gut, in the dead silence of nights that used to be filled with her voice. That pain wasn't weakness. It was a signal, a message from the deepest part of your soul. Something has to change, but most men ignore it. They numb it, distract from it, chase something or someone new to avoid sitting with it. Not you. You faced it. Let it burn, not because you enjoy the suffering, but because you understand what Stoicism teaches. Pain is a teacher, not an enemy. When you stop running from it, it becomes your greatest asset. That heartbreak, it exposed everything, your need for external validation, the way you overinvested, the parts of yourself that you abandoned to keep her interested. Pain revealed all of it, and that clarity, that's your freedom. Growth begins the moment you stop asking, "Why did she do this to me?" and start asking, "Why did I allow it?" Because that flips the narrative. It shifts the power back into your hands. The pain becomes productive. You don't spiral, you evolve. The gym becomes your therapy. The grind becomes your revenge. The silence becomes your sanctuary. And the old version of you, he dies here. This is what a Stoic rebirth looks like. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's you, alone, building in the dark. Every representative, every decision, every early morning and late night. You're not trying to prove her wrong. You're becoming the man she never had the patience or the depth to truly understand. Pain introduced you to yourself, and now you're unrecognizable, not broken, not bitter, just focused, detached, and untouchable. Number 6. Scarcity creates demand. She never feared losing you because you were always available. One message and you responded. One call and you answered. No matter how cold she was, how distant, how inconsistent, she knew you'd still be there. You were abundant, predictable, always showing up, and in her mind, that meant she never had to earn your presence. But the second you disappeared, everything changed. Suddenly, the constant became rare. The consistent became quiet. The man who once made her feel secure became a mystery. That shift, that's where demand is born. Because human psychology is simple. What's always available gets taken for granted. What disappears gets chased. You didn't pull back to manipulate her. You pulled back to protect yourself, to preserve your time, your peace, your energy. And in doing so, you became scarce. Scarcity makes people uncomfortable. It creates questions in their mind. Did I push him too far? Is he seeing someone else? Did I lose him for good? Those thoughts spiral, and they all point to one thing: regret. You're no longer the man constantly reminding her of your worth. You've become the man who lets her wander. That's dark psychology at its finest. Not deception, just discipline. Not revenge, just realignment. You've stopped being the giver and started being the standard. She doesn't have access to you on demand anymore. She has to earn it now, but you're not even watching. Because now, she's chasing a version of you that no longer exists. The man who overextended is gone. In his place stands someone who understands the power of absence, the strength of not needing to be needed. You've become the question mark in her mind, and that, more than anything, is what haunts her. Number 7. She misses the version of you she took for granted. She didn't miss you when you were always available. She didn't appreciate you when you gave her your full attention. She didn't value your effort, your consistency, your loyalty, because in her mind, it was always going to be there. She thought she had time. She thought you'd keep showing up no matter how little she gave in return. But then, you stopped. You didn't make an announcement. You didn't send a bitter goodbye. You just shifted, quietly, permanently. And now? Now she doesn't miss you. She misses the version of you she took for granted. The man who answered texts immediately. The man who asked how she was doing even when she barely responded. The man who kept trying. That man is gone. Replaced by someone sharper, colder, more focused. Someone who no longer bends for people who won't even meet him halfway. And that's what stings the most. Not your absence, but your evolution. She sees the glow-up, the calm in your energy, the strength in your silence, the weight you've lost, not just physically, but emotionally. You dropped her energy like dead weight, and now you're lighter, more grounded. You're not chasing anymore, you're choosing. And suddenly, she doesn't qualify. That's the irony of detachment. They never miss you when you give them everything. They miss you when you give them nothing, when the access is gone, when they scroll your page and realize you're not just moving on, you're moving up. And the version of you she now wants back? She had him, and she destroyed him. But don't go back. Don't reopen the door for someone who only wants you now because they see others noticing your value. Let her miss you. Let her feel the void. You don't owe her the new version of you. She was never ready for him anyway. Number 8. Revenge is not rage. It's reinvention. She expected backlash, expected you to blow up, spiral, post something petty, try to win her back, or try to hurt her back. That's the script most men follow: rage, obsession, desperation. But you rewrote the narrative. You didn't scream. You evolved. That's real revenge. Reinvention is silent. It's deadly. It doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. While she was watching for a breakdown, you were building. While she was wondering when you'd text, you were leveling up. In the gym, in your mindset, in your money, in your discipline. You took everything she underestimated and you weaponized it. That's dark psychology. Becoming so far removed from who she remembers that the memory itself becomes painful. Because now she has to live with the fact that the man she discarded is the man she can't reach anymore. She could have grown with you. She could have built with you. But she chose power games. And now she's watching your glow up from the sidelines. No longer part of the story. This isn't about making her jealous. This isn't about proving anything. It's about becoming undeniable. Not out of spite, but out of clarity. She was never your purpose. She was just the spark. The fire came from within you. And now it's unstoppable. Revenge isn't a message. It's your transformation. It's every quiet morning you show up for yourself. Every boundary you enforce. Every time you choose growth over drama. You don't need closure. You closed the chapter yourself. And what came next? A man she can no longer recognize and will never have access to again. Number 9. You don't win her back. You win yourself back. Let's be real. There was a time you would have done anything to get her back. You replayed the past, overanalyzed every word, imagined the perfect apology, the perfect moment, the perfect comeback. You weren't chasing her, you were chasing the version of you that existed with her, the man who felt whole because she was around. But here's the raw truth. You don't win by getting her back. You win by getting yourself back. Because somewhere in that relationship, you lost pieces of yourself. You compromised your boundaries. You silenced your instincts. You ignored your own needs just to keep the peace. You thought love meant sacrifice, but you were the only one sacrificing. That wasn't love. That was emotional codependency dressed up as commitment. Now, everything's different. You're not trying to go back. You're not holding on to hope. You're not refreshing your messages, hoping for her name to pop up. You've remembered who you were before she confused you, before the mixed signals, before the highs and lows, before the cold affection and empty promises. That man, the grounded one, the focused one, the self-respecting one, he's back, and stronger. You've stopped negotiating with your worth, stopped explaining yourself to someone who was never listening. You've accepted that not everything lost needs to be found again, especially when what's gone made you forget your own value. This isn't a comeback for her. This is a comeback for you, not to prove her wrong, but to prove yourself right. You never needed her to feel whole. You just needed to let go of the version of you that thought you did. That's the real victory. Not reclaiming what's broken, but rising as something unbreakable. Number 10. Stoic Rebirth. Indifference is the new alpha. You don't love her. You don't hate her. You feel nothing. That's the destination. That's when you know the transformation is complete. Not when you pretend to be over her, but when you genuinely don't care either way. She crosses your mind maybe, but there's no emotion left, no spark, no weight, just silence. That's the Stoic Rebirth. Indifference isn't bitterness, it's liberation. It means you've taken back your emotional real estate, the space she used to rent for free in your head, vacant. No anger, no obsession, just clarity. Because now you see the entire situation for what it was, not a love story, but a lesson. Not a loss, but a redirection. And you're not mad anymore, you're free. This is what happens when a man stops negotiating his value, when he stops needing closure, validation, or revenge. He no longer reacts, he observes. He no longer attaches, he accepts. You're not chasing peace, you are peace. That's what makes you dangerous now. You don't flinch, you don't fold. You've trained your emotions, and they serve you, not the other way around. And maybe she returns, maybe she doesn't. It doesn't matter, because the man she left behind no longer exists. You don't seek validation from the same source that broke you. You've outgrown her energy, outgrown the game, outgrown the need to prove anything. This isn't a phase. This is who you are now, unbothered, disciplined, clear. That's the highest level of self-mastery. That's stoicism in its purest form. You walked through the fire and came out forged. A man she can no longer shake because he no longer cares. She thought you'd chase her forever, but you didn't. You vanished, not to play games, but because you finally saw yourself clearly. And when that clarity hit, everything changed. You stopped seeking closure. You stopped explaining your worth. You stopped bleeding for someone who couldn't even recognize your value. That was the death of the old you, and the rebirth of a man who no longer folds for emotion, no longer pleads for attention, no longer fights to be chosen. You chose yourself. This wasn't about her. It never was. This was about reclaiming your time, your energy, your mind, your masculinity. You didn't get bitter, you got sharper. You didn't collapse, you rebuilt, stronger, smarter, quieter. You stopped performing for someone who only clapped when it benefited her. Now your silence speaks, your calm intimidates, your growth hurts more than any words ever could. You became stoic, you became untouchable. If you felt this, if this story reflected even a piece of your journey, show some love. Like this video. Subscribe to Stoic Blessing for more raw truth. And turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. And drop a comment below. I choose me. Every damn time. Your rebirth has already started. Keep building. Keep walking. The ghosts don't follow men who've found peace. Thanks for watching Stoic Blessing. Stay strong, kings.